Hi everyone, I'm Luke Perraton, a sports physiotherapist and a student at Blackburn Karate Club. I'm going to take you through some static stretching that will be useful for your karate training and competing. And let's get started. So the first one we're going to do is a shin stretch. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. So you'll be working really hard on your kicking. You might have started some running and you might have some soreness in the front of the shin. And this is a really nice way to stretch that out. If you have tightness in your knees or ankles, be aware of that. You should feel a stretch down the front of the shin, where the shin muscles are. And it should feel like a good muscle stretch and not anything painful or no discomfort. So for this one, have your feet out behind you and sit back down on your heels. And as you do that, you should feel a stretch starting in the front of your shin. You're going to hold that for 30 seconds and then you'll do that twice. I'm just going to go through 30 seconds in this video because of course you can just stop it and do it as many times as you like. Now if you're not feeling anything there, what I want you to do is use your hands, push up and put a bit more weight through the feet. And I can feel a really nice stretch down the front of my shins as I do that. Now I don't mind if you do more than 30 seconds because we need a minimum of 60 seconds and that can be 30 seconds times 2 in order to get an effective stretch through the muscle. Okay, so that was the front of your shins. The next one we'll do is the calves, the back of our shins. So for this one, push against the wall. Now there's nothing cute here, this is really just standard stretching. But I want you to think about when you're stretching, 3 things. I want you to think about the alignment of your body. So it should be aligned and straight. In this case, your feet are facing forwards. You're pushing your hands on the wall. I want you to think about your core. So your stomach muscles are pulled in. And that'll stop you from losing your alignment. Yeah? And thirdly, most importantly, I want you to breathe. So calf stretch, you're pushing on the wall. Push as hard as you want to get a stretch. You can see I'm not very flexible through my hips. So it looks like I work quite hard to get my alignment in Kamae and Karate. Some of you are really flexible through your hips and you're going to feel this more in the calf. And some of you will feel nothing at all. So there's some progressions of exercises you can do. Swap sides while we talk about that. So keep the heel down, keep the feet facing towards the wall, keep the hips pushed forwards. So that's one of the progressions you can do. Push your hips forwards to feel more of a stretch in your calf. Of course, you can progress it by moving your leg backwards. If you've got that mobility in your ankle, then do that. Keep holding. And then come off and shake it out. Hamstrings now. We need hamstring flexibility, of course, for our kicking. And we all know how to stretch our hamstrings. Let's just work through it in a relaxed way. So work through the hamstring stretch and have a feel of what we're getting. So are you getting a stretch in your calves? Are you feeling it in the hamstring or are you feeling it in your back? So you're sitting on the ground, nice and relaxed, leaning forwards. Now you can bend one leg up or you can have 2 legs forwards and you can do both hamstrings at the same time. Body up straight, stomach muscles tight, lean forwards until you feel the stretch. Keep the chin up. Now if you drop the chin down, you may well feel a pulling sensation all the way from your back down to your toes. Now that's the sciatic nerve, and that's a normal feeling, but you can get more of a muscle stretch by lifting the body and keeping the head forward, which is what we want. How far can you get? I can just touch my toes. I'm sure some of you can go a lot further. So everyone's different in terms of our flexibility, and that's okay. We all need to work on aspects of our flexibility. A progression from that exercise. Bend your knees slightly. You can do 1 leg or 2 legs. When you bend your knee, you can go a lot further. You should feel the stretch though in your hamstring muscle and not in your back. Okay. The next stretch is quads. The quadricep muscles, there's 4 of them. 1 of them attaches to the pelvis, the other 3 attach to your femur, the thigh bone here. Okay, so that's why Sensei Richard in his classes gets you to be nice and tall. He says stay up tall when you're doing this stretch. So we all know a quad stretch. Bend your knee up behind you, grab your foot and have your knees together. And so don't have it out here, have them together. And Sensei Richard would say push your hips forward. And the reason is because one of those quad muscles will pull the hips down and backwards. So alignment number one, stay up tall, push your hips forwards, stomach muscles tight, remember to breathe. You should feel a nice stretch down the front of your thigh. Swapping sides. So bend the knee up, knees together, get yourself tall and aligned. Hold the stretch. Now for some of us that'll do the trick and you'll get quite a good stretch through the quads. If you're tight, you'll know what I mean. Some of you felt nothing during that, so a nice progression of that exercise is to use a chair. You can use the edge of your bed if you like as well. It just has to be soft. You're going to find it a hard chair really digs into your foot and it's not a lot of fun. So for this one, get your balance, get the back of your foot, front of your foot, sorry, on the chair. Stay upright, squat down, and remember to tighten those stomach muscles, remember to breathe. And depending on how flexible you are, you're going to feel a stretch either in the front of your hip or down the front of your leg. Sometimes down the side of the knee. And it should never be painful and it should always feel better afterwards. If it doesn't tick those two boxes, then something's wrong and you should stop and modify. I love this one after a long run. The day after a long run when I get really tight through the front of my leg. It's a really good one to do after karate sessions. So remember you want to do your dynamic warm-up before you go to karate and then do your static stretches afterwards when you're all warm. Swap sides. Take your time, you can see I'm not rushing. Take your time to get your alignment right. Set those stomach muscles and breathe and get the stretch where you want it. Okay, so if you want to do the full 30 seconds, which I recommend, you can hit pause and finish that one off. I'm going to keep moving. Okay, so the final stretch we're going to do is for the lats. So for this one, I'm going to use a chair and the lat muscles attach from the arm all the way down to the pelvis. So to stretch them, you have to be aware of what your pelvis is doing. Okay, so if you're letting your pelvis tilt backwards, you're not going to get an effective stretch through the lats. So what you want to do is hands up on the chair, tense your stomach muscles, relax your breathing, and then let the chest come down without dropping too much, so it's controlled. Pressure on the arms, and you should feel a bit of a stretch through your thoracic spine, so this part of your back, or the side here. Now to get a real lat stretch, what we need to do is we go off to the side. So from here, I'm going to turn my body and lean into it. So curving your body to the side, and you should feel a nice stretch down here, down the side. So hold this one for 30 seconds. Remember, if it's pinching in the shoulder or anywhere else, you should stop and modify it. Do something different. But you don't want pain, you want muscle stretch. And that should feel good afterwards. Swapping sides. So standard stretch, and then you're going off this way and feeling it down here in the lap. All right, you can finish the final 30 seconds. I did say that was the last one. I was telling a lie. I've got one more for you. We really need that mobility through our groin. Okay? So in another video, Susanna is going to talk to you about strengthening through here and the reason why that's really important and why just stretching it alone is not going to help you if you're prone to getting tight through these groin muscles. But as a general stretch, We all need to do that to have our mobility for karate and for other sports, and we know what it looks like. I just want you to focus on quality of movement. So your alignment, this either stretches your groin, stretching a squat, feet are turned down, your body's upright. If you can't talk, then you're not breathing well, so you should be able to breathe through it. You shouldn't feel any pinching in your hips. Now you can push out into your stretch with your elbows, or you can take your elbows off your leg and you can push it out with your own muscles. So for this one, just alternate. You don't have to do the hang for the full 30 seconds in this position because it could be uncomfortable. You can just do some turnouts like that. You should feel a nice stretch to the groin and the hip. Remember, if it's uncomfortable or painful, you should stop. You should feel better afterwards. So I've done at least 30 seconds of all those exercises. And because I've been talking, it's taken a little bit longer. You should roll through all of those twice. Now we're going to go through some foam rolling. So for this, you'll need a foam roller. So pop the foam roller down on the ground, get yourself comfortable, carpet or a foam mat, whatever you've got. And then what I want you to do is put the weight on your shins, on the foam roller, put the weight on your hands, and then roll yourself forwards until you've got your body weight on the muscles on the front of the shin. Now you're going to roll back and forward, and you can shift your weight from side to side if you like and find the tight spots in the muscle. If you're not feeling anything, a progression of this one is to put one leg on top of the other. You put all the weight on that shin, back and forwards. You want to do each muscle group for at least 30 seconds, and ideally do that twice. So you can roll through your exercises twice. So there's at least 30 seconds there for the shin muscles. You can go through the next load of exercises I'm going to show you, and then repeat them all again to get the 60 seconds that you need for your stretching or your foam rolling per muscle group. Let's do the calf muscles next. So for this one, foam roller underneath your calves, weight on the hands, lift yourself up, and that puts all the weight pressing down through the calf muscles into the foam roller, and then work yourself back and forward. It's really important when you're stretching to breathe. Breathe in and out and keep your breathing deep and relaxed. The reason is if you hold your breath, you don't get good relaxation in the muscle, and then you can't get a full stretch and work through the muscle with the foam roller. Keep going. Another 10 seconds. If you want to make this one harder, you can put the other leg on top, roll back and forward, and that puts a bit more pressure through the muscle. Good. Okay. The next one we're going to do is the hamstrings, so the back of the leg. Really important for karate. You get tight in these when you squat and you work out and you do kicking, and we obviously need to stretch and foam roll them to loosen them up. So same position as before, just move the foam roller up underneath your hamstrings, weight on the hands. This one you can do one-legged. Okay, so go straight to the harder one. If it's really sore, then you can do two legs. And you're just rocking yourself back and forwards. Keep the stomach muscles tight. Keep breathing. And of course, watch your alignment so you're not leaning over and crunching up. You're staying nice and tall. And you should feel a nice stretch through the hamstring. Remember with all these exercises that you should feel a bit of discomfort. You should feel it working, but you shouldn't feel anything painful in anywhere that's not in the muscle. Like for example in your back. Swap sides, we'll work the hamstrings a little bit more. So we'll do 30 seconds per side at least. Don't mind if you go over, but you're not going to be effective if you go under the 30 seconds. It does take time for the muscles to adapt to the stretch. So your American College of Sports Medicine guidelines for stretching are a minimum of 60 seconds per muscle group. And it's a good way to do that is to break it up into 2 lots of 30 seconds or 3 lots of 20 seconds. So you can apply that to your foam rolling. Okay, good. Well, let's move to the upper body. You might be a bit sore in your leg muscles from one of Sensei Jace's kicking classes, and the next day you're a bit sore through your lats and your thoracic spine from Sensei Richard's boxing class, for example. So let's work on the mobility of the lat muscles. Really important muscle group that connects your arm all the way down to the pelvis, and really important for your rotation and your upper limb movement that we do in karate. You get tight when you train, so this is a really nice exercise to help loosen it up. Put the foam roller on the ground, use the front of your forearms to roll out, and keep the elbows fairly straight. Don't forget to breathe, and as you push out, push your chest down, keep looking up. Now, if you're more flexible than me, you can probably go a lot further, but I'm feeling a nice stretch through my back. So this is really a dynamic stretch rather than using the foam roller to push on a sore spot in the muscle. It's a nice exercise because you're working your thoracic spine into extension, stretching out your lats. Now, if you want to make that harder, get a bit more stretch, go out on the angle. So if I show you from the front, so you can go that way, or you can roll out on the angle while your body keeps moving forwards. And I can feel a nice stretch down here through my lat muscle. So remember, a dynamic stretch is where you move through the stretch and come back, whereas a static stretch is holding it there. So we're not doing a static stretch, we're just doing a dynamic roll out stretch. Swap sides. We're going to balance ourselves up, stretch the other side as well. And I guess this is foam rolling for the forearms if they're a bit sore from a Sensei Richard's boxing class as well. Good. All right, the final one you're going to do is thoracic extension. So when we do all those push-ups, yes, we get strong in the triceps and the pec muscles, but it's really important to balance that out by strengthening our back, but also working on our mobility of our spine. If your spine's flexed forward, you can be as strong as you want here, but you're not going to have the mobility to lift up overhead until you get the spine flexible. So use the foam roller. This one feels really good. Everyone knows this stretch. It's the first one you do when you buy a foam roller. Three things I want you to remember. Your alignment, so you're not falling over the foam roller. Your stomach, so your stomach's tensed. And breathing. Remember to breathe. So use your arms for this one. Lift your bottom up, roll back onto the back, and then lift the arms up as you breathe out. We'll do this for 30 seconds. But each time go a little bit further. Good. So as you can see, my arms are going further already. And you do get used to the exercise and you can go a little bit further. It's important not to go as far as you can the first time you do it. Work your way into it. Now if you find you're not feeling very much here, go to where you feel a stretch and use the foam roller to work away at little tight spots in your back, and I'm sure you'll find a few, especially if you've been working at a desk. Remember to breathe. Okay. Now there's plenty of more exercises we can do. We can save that for next time, but that's a quick 10-minute foam rolling warm-up that you can do in between karate sessions so you can come to the dojo all limber and ready to go.